And I don't know, it just feels really good. And I love this for me. Like, I really do. I have enough books, right?
Professor Dumbledore. Are the rumors true? Help us.
I'm afraid so, Professor. The good and the bad.
And the boy.
Hagrid is bringing him.
Do you think it wise to trust Hagrid with something as important as this?
Ah, Professor, I would trust Hagrid with my life.
Okay, what's up, guys? So this video is going to be a little different than previous videos that I've done. So if you follow me on any of my social media like Instagram or TikTok, you may have seen that I have recently gotten back into my love for reading. I mean, I have enough books, right? So I recently came across a fellow YouTuber whose content is mostly about books. And as I was watching some of her videos, I got emotional thinking about how I used to love reading so much years ago and how life just quickly, I guess, changed all of that. I wouldn't say that my love for reading ended. I would just say that I did not have the time to read the way I used to. And it became a thing where it just eventually I just stopped reading altogether. I would still have my books that I would grab from the bookstore here and there, but I never actually would read them, or I'd start them, read a chapter, and then they'd just be on my shelf for the next few months or years. So today I am so excited because I'm finally getting back into this love for reading. I recently finished a book that I have been meaning to read for a while. Many of you are familiar with the Harry Potter series. Unfortunately, though, during my childhood, my middle school years, I never actually read any of those books. And so while all of my friends were reading the books and, getting engaged in the series, I wasn't, which is honestly probably where my love for like thrillers and horror books kind of came in. Well, maybe not horror books. Yeah, maybe not horror books, but thrillers for sure. So being that I wasn't really reading the most popular books out there, I started reading more thriller books, and that's definitely a genre that I have just fallen in love with. But we can talk more about that later. Today, we're going to talk about the book that I just finished. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So actually, I finished the very first book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone, depending on who you ask. And I read that book last year sometime, and it took me quite a bit of time to finish it. It was around the time where I was just getting used to being a new mom, and finding time to read just wasn't a thing. So it took me quite a few months to finish that one, and then after I finished it, I watched the movie. I'll be honest, I do not remember much of what happened in that book or in the movie because it has been so long. And I do think that it's very valuable, especially if you're going to get into the Harry Potter series, if you have not already, to read them as close in time together as you can. Now, I am a proponent of reading a book before I watch the movie or a series that was adapted after the book has been written. I know a lot of people have different feelings about that, but that's typically how I go about it. Now, because I took so long to finish Sorcerer's Stone, by the time I got to Chamber of Secrets, I did find myself a little confused because I was trying to get back into the Harry Potter universe and figure out what was all going on. Now, I will say this was a 4-star read for me. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is 4 stars the best rating you can give it? Just hear me out, okay? So I did not give it 5 stars, and this is why. And I partially blame myself for this, again, because I did not read them close in time. But I do feel that my thoughts on this are still fairly valid. So the story itself, phenomenal. I love the way J.K. Rowling just ties you into the scene with her descriptions of what's going on, with the dialogue. I love a book that has really good dialogue. And just makes you feel like you can see everything like as you're reading it. I love being able to like literally fall into a book because it's so descriptive and really captivates me. I also love, I know a lot of people don't, but I love cliffhangers, especially when they come right at the end of a chapter, because it also forces me to keep reading. That's a good problem to have. The things I did not love about the book, again, maybe more my fault, but I still feel that they're valid points. So as the book was coming to a close, I found myself trying to recall a lot of the information that was coming at me about what was happening. And I'm trying not to spoil it. So essentially, Harry Potter is finding himself in a lot of different danger that you're kind of rooting for him to get out of. A lot of times, the danger he's finding himself in involves other aspects of history and relationships and magical concepts, if you will, that are discussed either in the first book or early on in this book. Now, I did find that a lot of those concepts I was able to recall really quickly. I'm going to put this down. I was able to recall those concepts fairly quickly as I was reading, but I did find it hard toward the end to kind of piece together everything because I feel like it kind of ended not so abruptly. I think it ended really well, but I do feel like the last 2 chapters moved very quickly in comparison to the book as a whole. So the book as a whole, I feel, moved kind of slow. It did have some of those moments that, like, again, tied you in, cliffhanger moments. But then, like, when you turn the page to the next chapter, it kind of was just over really quickly. So again, these are kind of the reasons why I gave it a 4-star rating instead of a 5-star rating. But for me, a 4-star rating means that I would highly recommend that you read this book. For me, a 4-star rating means that I was really captivated when I was reading this book. But it's not a 5-star because 5-star books for me are books that I would definitely reread and I want to reread. Books that leave me feeling a lot of different emotions, and I may express those emotions in the form of tears or laughter. And I definitely found myself laughing a few times in this book, but not to the point where, it really was pulling at my heartstrings. So this is definitely a 4-star read for me. I will say this, J.K. Rowling writes so well. And when you pick up a lot of I guess you can call them Easter eggs along the way as you're reading, It's almost like having like an inside joke with a friend, because you understand immediately what they're getting at or where they're going based off of how the scene is developing. And that for me was just chef's kiss. So definitely highly recommend this book. Definitely highly recommend this series. I plan to add all of the rest of the Harry Potter series to my TBR. I would love to get them done before the summer, but because I'm also reading a lot of other books, I want to take my time in getting these done. But I do feel like I need to add a Harry Potter book to my TBR every month, unless I'm able to get them done rather quickly. And I was actually able to get this one done pretty quickly. Well, that's not true. I started this book in January, and it is now March 8th. And I finished it 2 days ago. I will also say that I felt like I never used to be an audiobook person. For me, reading books meant reading books, like opening the pages, reading what's on the page, turning the page. Like for me, that was always reading. Having an audiobook available to me felt like some form of cheating, because you're kind of disengaged in the act of reading. But I've recently changed my thoughts on that, because these audiobooks are just like nothing I've ever experienced. It's almost like a screenplay is happening in front of you, and you kind of are just imagining the scene unfold. The audiobook version of this was also very captivating. And I actually did not start the audiobook until I was like way over halfway done with the book. And I just found myself having a hard time making time to read it. I have a long commute back and forth to work, and on the days where I'm the one driving, obviously it's going to be hard for me to read and drive. So listening to the audiobooks during my commute made my commute go by faster, and it kept me engaged in the book, so that like when I had a moment to sit and read, I really wanted to read. Tones of voice, the music in the background, just everything about the audiobook made it even more captivating. Now, I would not recommend having the audiobook playing for the entirety of the book unless it's something that you just have to do, or you just feel like it's better for you because you just don't enjoy the act of reading. You know, I understand that. So as I mentioned before, I watched The Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone after I read the first book, but I quickly forgot a lot of key details and plot and things like that. And I wanted to make sure I could tie it back into the Chamber of Secrets that I just finished. So I actually have been playing Sorcerer's Stone in my living room today while I've been working, kind of in the background. I watched the beginning of it during lunch today, and it's kind of just been playing because I'm like, I know I remember a lot of this, especially from the book, but I just need a reminder. And the reason is because tonight I told Jared I want to have a movie night and I want to watch The Chamber of Secrets. He does not think he needs to watch Sorcerer's Stone, even though it's been years since he's seen the last one. So we're going to watch The Chamber of Secrets tonight, and I'm so excited because I finally feel like I'm getting into this in the way that I probably would have if I had read it during middle school. But I'm approaching it with a different mind as an adult in their 30s. And I don't know, it feels good. So this for me, again, 4-star read, highly recommend. If you have not gotten into the Harry Potter series, I recommend you get into the Harry Potter series. These are really quick reads. I had to remind myself that these books were written for that age group, you know, the middle school age group. And so getting through these books was not hard at all. It was a very easy read, and I enjoy easy reads because typically I find myself reading thrillers, books that are rather thick with smaller writing. So being able to read something a little different, something a little more fast-paced, something a lot easier to get through was very refreshing. So yeah, that's my review of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I'm going to be starting Prisoner of Azkaban within the next week or so. That one's a little bit thicker, but it's also a smaller size book, which I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with books that are like pocket size. I don't know. It's just weird for me. But that book that I have is a little bit smaller. Matter of fact, let me go get it. So this is book 3 Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I think I'm saying that right. Oh my gosh. So this is the one I'm going to be reading next, and I'm super excited. Again, it's a lot thicker, but it's also pocket size, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. I mean, clearly the difference is very obvious. These books were actually gifted to me from a coworker some years ago. When I let her know that I had not read the Harry Potter series, she's like, oh my God, I have all of my old books. Like, I can give them to you. And so I'm so grateful that she did that, because that's the only way I was able to read these, because the box set of these books is so expensive. And I'm saying that knowing full well I'm still gonna buy the box set, because I need my library to have nice, clean books from this series. Nice, clean, fresh copies of this series, and I need them to be on display. So I'm gonna get through these, and I'm so excited that I'm starting this. Comment below if you are reading Harry Potter, you want to read Harry Potter. I would love to know some insight. Please don't spoil anything for me, obviously. But yeah, I'm just so excited for this. I'm so excited for movie night tonight. Hopefully I can stay awake, because I have been going to bed super early lately, like 9:30. So knowing that the movie is like 2.5 hours long is getting to me. So just wanted to give you my 2 cents on that. I'm probably going to share with you all more book content. I've just really found a lot of comfort and peace and joy in getting back to reading. And I don't know, it just feels really good. And I love this for me. Like, I really do. I do have 3 other books that I'm finishing in March. And so I think in another video, I'm going to dive into my thoughts on those. I have not finished those, well, except for one that I'm actually rereading, because that for me was a 5-star read. And so I'm rereading it because it was a 5-star read. And so I'll tell you guys more about that in the next video. But I just wanted to jump in here and kind of just share my love for books and share my experience with the Harry Potter series. And I just want to encourage you, if you're watching and you thought about getting back into reading, please do it. I feel like it's the best thing for you right now, especially in a world where we're so attached to our phones. This has been the one thing that has been able to keep me kind of focused. One of those things that's kind of just allowed me to be present. And I found so much peace and joy in getting back into reading. So yeah, so that was my 2 cents on that. I'm going to get some more work done. It is almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I am losing sunlight. So I'm going to get some more work done at my desk before Jared and Journey come home, and then we can have our movie night.
Today about how we don't have nearly enough books about friendship. Like, I feel like we get a lot of books about like love and like things like that, but I feel like we don't get enough about like friendship.